Good evening, everyone. So, in today's session, we have to discuss the OOPS interview question and answer जो ask in to ask during interviews. So, here is the first question: what do you mean by OOPS? So, let's see. Okay. Question number one. What do you know? What is OOPS? So, so OOPS stand for Object-Oriented Programming. As the name suggested, this is a pattern of programming that emphasize more on this is a pattern of programming that emphasize on the object and classes rather than function. Okay, it is not a programming language, but a paradigms used to almost all new generation of programming language like C++, Java, and etc. So, in a simple word, we have to say OOPS stand for object oriented programming. Okay, object oriented programming. Okay, but object oriented programming, and as the name suggested, it emphasizes on the objected. It emphasizes. So this is a programming pattern. Okay, this is a programming pattern. This is a programming pattern pattern which emphasize more on classes and object. Okay, programming pattern which emphasizes more on the classes and objected. So it is not a programming language. First of all, let me clear, it is not a programming language, not a programming language. Okay, and but it is a paradigms uh, paradigm. Okay, and used in all new or used in all new gen new gen new generational of a new generational programming language like Java, C++. Okay, so whenever the interviewer asks can you explain what is OOPS, so we have to answer OOPS stand for the object oriented programming. As the name suggested that this is a programming pattern which emphasizes more on the object and classes. It is not a programming language, but it is a paradigms a structure which is used in new generational language programming language just like C++ and Java and etc, right, etc. So second question is a follow-up question. Name some of the programming language that use the concept of C++. Inside this, so suggested that use programming which use the concept of C++. And nowadays, almost all programming language use the object-oriented concept. Some of the as mentioned that C++, generic, Java, Python, C Sharp, Ruby. Okay, these are the programming language that use the concept of object-oriented programming. So, to understanding the what is this, the next question is what is the need of object-oriented programming? So, what is the need? So, let's see what is the need of OOPS. Okay, so let's see. Let us study why we need object-oriented programming. As we evolve our programming, as we evolve our problem also become more complexes and the codes. To solve this problem of writing the complex code, we need object-oriented programming. It allows the reusability of the code, which shorten the code to be a greater extent. The primary importance of primary importance of the OOPS is to bind together the data and the function and that operate on them with the help of essentials feature. So as we evolve, okay, our problem also evolves. As the problem evolves, also become more complex and the codes, and we see more complex, we see more complex codes. Okay, okay, as we evolve, our problem also evolve. We see more complex and the codes to solve the problem of to solve the problem what to solve the problem of writing the complex codes, writing the complex codes, and that's writing the complex code. That's why we need object oriented programming. Okay, it allow reusability. So it allow reusability of the code, reusability of the codes, which shorten the code to the greater extent, which sort the sort the code to greater extent. Okay, and primary importance, except from this, the primary importance of object oriented programming is to bind the code, together. All the features like inheritance, encapsulation are these the features. So we have to explain in this. The one of the most important feature is binding the code together and the data together, and data and function. Okay, data and function that operate on them with the help of essential feature, that operate on them with the help of essential features. Okay, so here why we need object oriented programming. As we evolve, our problem also evolve. We see the more complex code. To solve the writing the more complex code, we need object oriented programming, which allow the reusability of the code, which sort the code to the greater extent. And the primary importance of OOPS is to bind the data and the function that operate on them with the help of essential features. Okay, so let's move forward for the next question. What are the essential feature of the OOPS? So after the question why we need OOPS, the next question definitely is the essential feature of the OOPS. So let's see the essential feature of the OOPS. So here we write essential essential feature of OOPS. So essential feature of the OOPS, as we know that there are four main pillar. So there are four main pillar of the OOPS. So four main pillar of OOPS. Okay, so four main pillar of the OOPS, as the name suggested, that first one is encapsulation. Okay, second one is polymorphism. Okay, third one as the inherit. Okay, fourth one is the data abstraction. Okay, so essential feature of the OOPS are encapsulation, polymorphism, inherit, and data abstraction. So encapsulation, as the name suggested, it is wrapping the data and the method that manipulate in a single unit. So is wrapping up the data and the methods that manipulate them in a single unit, and it is one of the essential feature of the OOPS is achieved with the help of access modifier. Okay, So let's break down each of the component through which you understand. Let's see. Inside, first one is encapsulation. So encapsulation features like, so as the name says, wrapping of the code. Encapsulation means wrapping the data data and methods data and methods data and method into a single unit. Okay, into a single unit. So single unit and that manipulate into a single unit, it is essential feature of the OOPS, and with the help of, and this can be achieved, it can be achieved using the access modifier. Okay, this can be achieved using the access modifiers. Okay, wrapping the data and method together in a single unit, and it can be achieved using the access modifier, and it is also the essential component of the OOPS. So let's move forward for the what polymorphism. So polymorphism polymorphism is the OOPS refer to the object that can create in many in this polymorphism in the OOPS, it indicating that the object can be created in multiple ways. Can be created object can be created object can be created and the object created that can be take many form in different instances. So create that can take many form in different instances. Okay, the word polymorphism has made from the poly, and the word polymorphism made from the word poly mean many, which mean many, and the morph mean forms. So this means forms, and above one is mean poly mean many. Okay, so many forms. Okay, so which mean the forms, and it can also understand as a function over, it can be also understand as a function overloading. So function over, also known as a function overloading. Okay, as in it any object or method act get to act differently in different instances. In in this features, any object and method act differently, different scenario on different instances. Okay, so till now we understand the encapsulation polymorphism, and after that we have to know about the inheritance. So inheritance, what is inheritance? Okay, so inheritance, the capability of a class to derive property and characteristic from the another class is called inheritance. So it is a feature, a capability ability of a class to drive the property to and drive the properties properties and characteristic from the another class, characteristic from the another class. Okay, it's called inheritance. So it is called inheritance. Okay, the ability of the class to drive the property and characteristics from the another class, it is called inheritance, and it is the actual world entity. So it is actual world entity that can be implemented in the OOPS. So we know object and classes are the real world entities feature. So inheritance is one of the type of the OOPS. They give a great insight of the how we use the real world entities. So, and the three modes of inheritance. So there are three modes of inheritance. First, in public modes of inheritance. So modes modes of inheritance. Inheritance is public, protected, and the private. Okay, these modes of inheritance are used to use in OOPS according to their requirement. So their inheritance are further divided into the many categories. So categories of inheritance. So what are the categories of inheritance? Let's see. So single, multiple, multiple, multi-level, okay, hierarchical, okay, and hybrid and multipath, okay. So categories of inheritance are single, multiple, multipath, multi-level, hierarchical, and hybrid. So till now we have covered the inheritance feature. So actually it is a capability of the class to drive the properties and the characteristic of the another class is known as inheritance. To achieve this, we have a different mode to achieve this. So public, private, protected, and we have to explain the different categories of inheritance: a single, multiple, and multi-level, hierarchical, and hybrids, and also a multipath inheritance. So let's move forward for the next feature is a data abstraction. So data abstraction. So as the name suggests, data abstraction is a concept of object-oriented programming which show only the essential attributes and the features of the code and hide the all unnecessary complexity. So it is a concept of object-oriented programming in which show the essential feature and hide the and essential feature and hide the unnecessary complexity. Okay, so it helps to avoid the code duplication and increase the code linear. So it help in the it help to avoid it help in avoiding the code duplication and increase the code reusability. Okay, so here we discuss the essential feature of the OOPS. Okay, now we move forward for the everything has their own advantage and disadvantage. So next question is same again. So we have to write the today's date. So OOPS session 10 November 2025. Okay, so everything has its own advantage and disadvantage. So let's discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the OOPS. So let's see. Advantage side. Okay, so advantage. So as we don't have to write too much, so advantage is advantage decrease the code complexity. So advantage feature increase the code decrease the complexity of the code, as decrease the complexity of the code. Okay, after that and require more and it allows the first one advantage decrease the complexity of the code. It allowed to reuse rather than rebuilding the code. So it increases the it increase it allow the code so it allow the code to reuse instead of instead instead of rebuilding. Okay, rebuilding again and again. Okay, it enhance the security it enhance the security it enhance the security it enhance the security features security like through data abstraction data abstraction. Okay, through data abstraction, and we can easily extend the code without disturbing other functionality. So we can easily extend the code without disturbing the other functionality. Okay, it help to creating a flexible piece of code. It help in creating the flexible code, and is easy handling and manipulation of the code, and easy handling manipulation of the codes. So decrease the complexity of the code, allowing the reusability instead of rebuilding from scratch. It enhances the security by data abstraction. It extends the code without disturbing other functionality. It helps for creating the flexible code, and it is easy to manipulate. And one of the feature, it follow a bottom up bottom up approach. Okay, so decrease the complexity, reusability. So next, let's move forward for the disadvantages. Everything has own disadvantage. So let's see the disadvantage. So it requires time to get executed. So it takes time. Disadvantage, disadvantage. So disadvantage. Okay, it take time to execute. Okay, execute, and programmer need high proficient in handling this objective. So programmer need an experience to handle this type of things. So programmer need more experience. Okay, it can get little tricky sometime, and sometime it become and it sometime it become tricky. Okay, and not suitable for the all types of problems. So and not suitable for all type of problem. Okay, disadvantage, it take time to execute. Programmer need more experience. Sometimes it become tricky and not suitable for problems. Not suitable for all type of problem or all problems. So okay, till now we discussed the advantage, disadvantage, what are the types, features, needs, essential features, each encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, and the data abstraction. So let's jump for the next question. What are the classes and object in the OOPS? So what are the classes and object in the OOPS? So next question, what is class and object in OOPS? Okay, so what are the class and object in this? A class in an object oriented programming is a user defined data type. So it is a class is a user defined data types data types that contain a variable and the function, I mean methods. A class object can only access the data and the member function. Okay, an object in the object-oriented programming is the nothing but an instance of the class used in the accessing the data members and the members function in a class. So let's see what we have what we discussed. So so class, actually the class in object-oriented programming is a user defined data type. User defined data type. Okay, that contain uh, that contain that contain variable and methods. Okay, that can variable and methods known as function. Okay, an object can only can be accessed. The class object can access the datas. So then class object can access the data and the methods. Okay, class in object-oriented programming is a user-defined data type that contain the variables and the method function, and the class object can access these data and the methods. So what is object? So object in the object is object in object-oriented programming is nothing just nothing but instances of the nothing but it is a nothing but it is it is the it is the it is the instance of the class. Okay, instance of the class, so which can access the which can access the which can access the data and the methods. Okay, okay, so let's move for the next question. What are the difference between OOPS and the structural oriented programming? So why we need OOPS? Okay, why we need OOPS? We discuss because as we evolve, our problems also getting evolved. Our codes become more complex. Writing the complex code become difficult. So we need a programming patterns through which we can use the code and make the code shorter and for greater extent. And it also needs something that bind together the data and function and operate them whenever the essential components. So okay. So what is difference between OOPS and the so how much time? It's 30 minutes session. So difference between difference between difference between OOPS and structural structural programming SP. So let's see. So let's discuss first of all the OOPS. After I discuss we OOPS versus structural programming. Okay. First point. So it is used to solve the lengthy and complex problem. So solve the lengthy and complex problems. Okay, and uh, and it is used to solve moderate and easy level problems. So solve the structural oriented solve the moderate and easy problems as we face in our programming language. So after that, in second line, follow the bottom up approach. So OOPS language bottom approach. Okay, and the structural programming follow the top to bottom approach. Top bottom approach. Okay, after that it offered the code reusability. Oops, offer the code reusability. Okay, and there is no feature like reusability of code in structural oriented programming. So no feature there. Okay, secure, it is more secure. Okay, more secure, it is less secure because there is a feature like data abstraction. These are features make that programming type become more secure, and it is not that much secure. It is less secure as compared to OOPS. So okay, less secure, and it use the inheritance, polymorphism. Yeah, it use the concept like like uh, polymorphism, inheritance, data abstraction. okay, but it does not have this type of feature. So in structural oriented programming, it does not support, support these features, okay, these features, okay, these features, okay. And sixth one, code is more flexible, greater less flexible user data abstraction hide. It does not hide anything, so it is flexible and hide the unnecessary component. So flexible, hide the unnecessary component, hide the unnecessary component. And but there is no feature like this. Less flexible and show everything to everyone, okay, to anyone, okay. These are simple feature. Oops, solve the lengthy and complex problem. It does not solve any problem, any type of this problem. Like easy problem is solved by structural programming. So it is a bottom up approach. Is it top bottom approach? Code reusability is the feature of object oriented programming. There is no such feature like code reuse. The data abstraction feature make this programming paradigms more secure as compared to the structure oriented programming, and it uses the concept of polymorphism in hidden data abstraction. It does not support, a structure oriented program does not support any of these type of feature, okay. And uh, flexibility, the oops has the flexibility, and so the hide the unnecessary data. But in structure oriented programming there is no such type of features there, okay. So till now we discuss the differences. Also we want to discuss the difference between classes and this. So classes differences. So actually class is the let's extend this question when you have to write the difference between classes and the objective. So class versus object. So class is simply mm, let's discuss class. So class is a template on which the object are created. So what is class? Class is a template. Class is a user defined template which contains data and the methods, and the class object can access the data and the methods, okay. So class is simply a template, okay, which object is which object is declared, okay. And the object is an instance of the class. So object is the instance of the class, instance of the, okay, class. So after that, when a class is created, no memory is allocated. When the class is created, when the class is created, is created, created, no memory, no memory needed. Sorry for my mistyping because I changed this position. Class is created, no memory is allocated, okay. Mm, allocated, created. But when the whenever the object is created, whenever the object is created, when the object is created, when object created, created, the memory allocated. Entity. So class is a logical entity, and it is the actual entity. Object is the actual entity, okay. And it has to be declared once. So class can be declared only once. Declared once, and it can declare many time, okay, many time. Fifth question: class can exist without the class. So no dependency, no dependency, and an object dependent on the class object cannot exist without a class. So dependent. So we see the what is class and structure. So class and structures. So we declare. So next question is what are the difference between class and structure? So we declare a class using the class keyword. We declare a structure using a struct keyword. Member of the class are private by default. The member of the structure are public and by default. Inheritance supported in the class feature. Inheritance is not supported in the structure feature. Class is the reference type and it is the actual type, and it can deal with both variable and the functions. It can only deal with the variables. So structure can deal only with the variables, but whereas class can deals with both variable and function. So next question, right? Does class and object acquire memory? So does class acquire memory? So last question for today's session. So does class and object acquire memory? Any memory? Okay. So when we build a class, no memory is allocated. So when we build a class, let's see. So when we create a class, create the class, we do not need no memory is memory is no memory is allocated. Okay, just a blueprint. Okay, and we saw some fundamental question in as can be asked in the next block. So but when the object is created, when the object is created, it so object acquire memory. Okay, so next question is the explain the four pillar of the OOPS. So as we had already discussed earlier, the four pillar of the OOPS are encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. So bundling the data and methods that operate on a data within a single unit called a class. So encapsulation promote the data protection and the information hiding. After that, abstraction focusing on the essential detail and hiding the unnecessary or underlying implementation features. This allows the user to interact with the object without worrying about the complexity of the internal working. So after that, inheritance. What is inheritance? So creating a new class that inherit the property and behavior of the existing class, that promote the code reusability and simplify the creation of the class hierarchy. After that, polymorphism. So the ability of an object or object of different classes to respond to the same method call in different way. So calling the same method in a different way, this allow the flexible and dynamic behavior programming. So these principles work together to create a well-structured and maintainable and reusable code. So encapsulation protect data integrity, abstraction simplify the object interaction, and inheritance promote the code reusability, and the polymorphism enable the flexible method behavior. So we discuss everything till now. So in next session we see the technical question of the object-oriented programming and also see the difference between method overloading, riding, benefits of the encapsulation, polymorphism. Okay, the implementation of the programming language, and also see the difference between abstraction versus encapsulation, all these things. So let's and lastly we have only discussed only thing left to discuss is method overloading and overriding. So only listen this question. So method overloading occur when same class when occur within the same class when you define multiple method with the same name. Okay, but the different number of type of parameter. The compiler determine which overload the method to call based on the argument to avoid and to provide a runtime. Okay, simply that using the same name methods having different parameters, and method overriding involve redefining the method. Redefining the methods inherit from the redefining the methods inheriting from the parent class within a child class, and the class method has a same name, return type, and sometimes the parameter list changes as the parent class method overrided and customizes. Okay, so let's see the